Why sometimes I like to roll these miniature joints using papers like this, that are intended for normal casual tobacco cigarettes. First of all, because you can pre-roll them at home and take them out using these containers like this mint can or this medicine jar and have a smoke. That is something that I highly recommend you doing if you consider yourself a beginner, or if you're anyone who likes to smoke in the middle of the day during the lunch breaks or recesses of your work or your study, which you often don't have a lot of time. So rolling and finishing a full-size joint may be quite difficult. The most vulnerable moments that you're gonna have as a stoner is not really the time when you're smoking weed. It's actually the time when you are preparing or processing your weed in one way or another, because that usually takes you more time and you're more likely to get found out that way. So another point I want to make in this video is that smaller joints, either like these mini joints or a full-length one like this that is relatively thin, is something that I prefer over the thicker, like bigger joints, because I usually want to have more control of how much weed I'm smoking each time. Considering that in places where weed is not legal, it can be expensive, and it's also not too easy to have access to them. It's not easy to find someone who sells them, and if you're someone who's buying them, and if you're someone who grows it on your own, then you have to make sure it's done in a private manner that's not obvious to your neighbors or to the public, or else you're gonna annoy them. And finally, the last but not least, is that they tend to look less like a typical joint, and they're gonna appear less obvious or offensive to people who are not okay about weed. Imagine if somebody is looking at you smoking one of these tiny joints from behind the window of a vehicle or indoors at home, assuming that they cannot smell anything, then they'll just assume that you're smoking a normal tobacco cigarette because of what it looks like. What happens if you consider yourself a heavy stoner and one of these tiny little joints isn't gonna get you high enough? Then you can pre-roll multiple of them and put them inside a container together. Or you can simply put multiple of these papers together and roll one that is thick but short, so you can have more weed at once. Or you can even put concentrates in them if you have got access to that, so you can make one that's really potent but compact, and you can get higher when you smoke it. That's all I have to say about them. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.